Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
We were only able to get a provisional register few hours to the commencement of voter exhibition. We did not even get the register 24 hours before the commencement of exhibition. Why? Because the EC, the Gyamfi Bosmanasare-led Electoral Commission, knew that they had manipulated the register. And so they just wanted to hinder our ability to scrutinize it and to detect what they had done to the register. But thanks to the leadership of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and the competent men and women we have in our elections directorate, led by my good brother Dr. Omanebuama, we burned the midnight candle and we went into the register. We probed it. And from the preliminary painstaking investigation we conducted, we saw things that blew our mind, things that shocked us. You see, many a times when you hear the NPP or the Electoral Commission responding to the NDC, they say that, oh, the EC is not a perfect institution. No voter register is perfect. Whatever, the reason for exhibition is to detect errors so that they can be corrected. Doc, the issues we are talking about are not the kind of errors that can even be corrected through exhibition. Some of the things we have detected have never happened in the history of this fourth Republican democracy. What am I talking about? Number one, you know of it, the Pusa Case, where we found out at the time that 38 voters registered to vote in Tamale South and Sanerigo. 38 at the time, but because now the number has increased, had been transferred to Pusiga. And for those who don't know where Pusiga is, Tamale South is in northern region, Pusiga is in Upper East. It is a border town in Upper East. And these people who have been transferred there have never been to Pusiga. They don't live in Pusiga. And they were transferred by the EC's district returning officer without the consent of the people, without their notice, without their knowledge. Something which is supposed to be impossible in our electoral system. Because per our electoral laws, specifically Regulation 22 of CI 91, as amended, you can only transfer a voter when he physically comes to the district office of the EC to physically apply for transfer. And when he's able to justify that application, then you transfer the person when he's live in front of you. That is the law. That is what we have done since time immemorial. Doc, to our total shock, disgust, and utter dismay, we found out that this EC electoral officer just sat in his office, took the voters' register, took the people's pictures, showed it to the machine, and the machine was able to transfer them. Something which should not happen. And you know, people are just looking at what happened without looking at the circumstances of what happened. If you look at the circumstances surrounding that incident, you will know that it was a rigging, an election rigging agenda.
Explain that.
Because all these people, and number one, let me even state it now. It is not only in Pusiga that it happened, as Sunafo South, Honorable Eric Opoku's constituency.
What exactly happened there?
There were 32 people transferred to Isuatre without their knowledge, without their notice, without their consent.
Done by who?
Done by the EC electoral officer. With their pictures in the register. They never visited that constituency to transfer their vote. That district office. They have never stayed there. They have never been there. Germanov, at least, as of 2 days ago when we were presenting our petition to the EC, 10. Oforukom, we have some there. Tolon, we have some there. Scattered across the country. In all these cases, you know how it happened. A group of people claiming to work for government went to these communities and met these voters and took their ID cards that government was going to give them loans and took their voter ID numbers. So it stands to reason that they must have profiled them before they took the ID cards from them.
Hold on a minute, Sammy. Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
What is the procedure for transferring one's vote from his polling station to another place?
Yeah.
What's the process?
So the process is that if you want to transfer your votes, you must have stayed in that new polling station you are seeking to transfer your vote to at least 12 months, within the 12 months preceding that transfer. And then you go to an EC office, the district office, and meet the EC returning officer.
Can you go there at any time? Or it is
No, you
during
go there
a period
designated for transfer.
So there's a period for transfer of
Yes,
votes.
there's a period for transfer.
And if you seek to transfer your votes, you physically go there.
Physically.
And then you are presented with a form.
You are presented, you go there,
Yes.
you are presented with a form, you fill the form, you prove that indeed you live in that community, because you can be challenged.
Yes.
Political party agents are there, at least for the just ended one we did. The agents are there. So you prove that. And then the EC officer, when he's satisfied that you meet the requirements, will now do the transfer in your presence. So there is a technology called liveliness test, which is supposed to be in the EC machine, the system they use for the transfer, to ensure that only a live photograph is admitted for transfer. So that if you go and pick Randy Abe's photo in the daily graphic and you show it to the machine, because it is not live, you can't transfer Randy Abe. It is only when Randy Abe is there in the district office live that the machine will recognize his photo and do the transfer. Now in this case, the director of electoral services of the EC, one Mr. Banu Bio, who I met on TV3 last Saturday.
Before you get to him, just hold on. I still want us to understand the process. Now, so if I want a transfer effected for me, where do I go to? Do I go to where my current registration exists?
No, you go to where you want to transfer the vote to.
Okay.
Yes.
So if I vote at Ladade Kotoko.
Yeah.
Okay. So if I want to vote as a Oforikrom DA, I'll go to Oforikrom DA.
Yeah.
Physically.
Yes.
And then the Oforikrom DA returning officer would be able to access my details from Ladade Kotopon.
Yes.
And do the transfer.
Yes.
So what it means is that all the district returning officers have access to the system.
Yes.
Not so?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes. But they have access, they can only have access to the system when the EC designate a particular period for transfer.
Yes.
During fallow periods, they cannot have access.
But even during that
period. But during that period that they have access, they are supposed to do the transfer in line with what the law provides.
Yes.
And the law says you can't transfer somebody when he's absent. The person must be physically present, and the machine must only accept live photos. So, therefore, you need a liveliness test to be inherent in that system.
So if the person is not present, a transfer should not be possible.
It cannot be possible.
Should not be possible.
Should not be possible.
Okay.
But in this case, because the EC is working with this so-called group who are going around collecting people's ID cards, the returning officers were able to get the data. They look for their details in the register and they show the photo to the machine. No. They work. All of them. In fact, the EC is
you guys have been dealing with the EC.
Yes.
So let me ask this question. It was the EC that told us that it was their returning officer in Pusiga who did that transfer from.
No. It was the NDC that detected what happened. And initially the EC denied. Hold on. The EC denied. And then later on, when we presented the evidence, they admitted. And they are holding the district officer responsible, not the returning officer. I'm looking for the law to read the law to you. Under Regulation 22.
Now my question really is that when the EC eventually told us who did it and what and who was responsible for it, did the EC tell us or you, the NDC, as to how come without a liveliness test the transfers could be effected?
Yes. They said that They said that number one, because they didn't have a liveliness test, what their officer, and here they are holding the district officer accountable, not the returning officer. And I'll tell you why. They are even doing politics with the handling of that matter. Because the law imposes the duty on the returning officer. The district officer has no role. Now they've left the returning officer off the hook. They are not doing anything to him because they think he's NPP. Meanwhile, he is the one who has the responsibility to do transfer. District officers don't do transfers. It's the returning officers who do. And they are holding the district officer responsible because of ultimate responsibility, the principle of ultimate responsibility, that he has oversight. Forgetting that if it comes to ultimate responsibility, then the regional officer must go and Jimensa too must go. But put that aside. They say that how it happened was that because the system did not have a liveliness test, any photograph could be used.
Okay.
So they used the photograph of those voters in the register, showed it to the machine and transferred
Which
it.
presupposes that
Yes. It was criminal.
Anybody who has a photograph
Yes.
can effect a transfer.
Can effect. And we are saying that if the Pusiga electoral officer could do that, if it could happen in the Sunafo South, if it could happen in German North and in the other constituencies where we have detected this problem, then it could have happened anywhere. Because you simply didn't have the technology to check it. And what is the excuse? They say, oh, you know, technology is progressive. And the technology, the liveliness test technology we bought was European model.
Huh?
Yes, Banu Bio says he used the taxpayers' money of Ghanaians to buy, that is immense, to buy a liveliness test technology, which was European model, so it didn't work. Yes, he said it on TV3 when I was there with him. The video has gone viral. I'll get it for you. In fact, those watching, Anam Perry, if you are watching, send it to Dr. Rajabi or Nyampo for that, just that part, and the engagement that ensued between him and the host. And why didn't the European model work? Oh, it didn't work, so now they've gone for UK or American model. After transfer has ended, so I asked him, the test, that technology is supposed to be used for the transfer. So now that the transfer has ended, and you claim that you have now spent another money to go and procure a fit for purpose liveliness test technology, what are you going to use it for? They say, oh, we will take the transfer data through it. Who are the political party agents that are supervising, observing that process? So they are just lying. It was deliberate. Totally deliberate. Well planned, well executed. They had their collaborators in government who were going around collecting ID cards, and they had collaborators in the EC in the various district offices doing the illegal transfer. And it is widespread. Now, Doc, and that is why they delayed the release of the provisional register to us so that we will not detect it. Now, Doc, aside that, you look at the people who are, because you see, I always make this point. The voters register is not like this when we talk about the voters register. It is a database embedded in an encrypted IT system. Look, you understand? So before somebody can have access to the database to transfer somebody, to change somebody's polling station, the person must first of all have entry access into that IT system. So once Pusiga happened, German North happened and all that, it raised a legitimate issue about the IT system of the voters register, and whether it was weak or robust, whether it is porous or strong. And we are saying that for this to happen, it means that the IT system is weak and porous. And therefore, we don't only have to audit the register, you must audit the IT system to find out, number one, who has entered the database. Number two, at what point did they enter? Number three...
Is this what you were referring to?
Yes.
Okay.
Number three, did they have authorization to enter? Then number four, when they entered, was it an approved period for such entries? And number five, when they entered, what did they do? Any IT system worth its salt will have footprints of all these things I have mentioned. And this is a commonsensical remedy that if the EC has nothing to hide, they must not even spend 1 second debating it. On the contrary, you know what they are saying? Oh, give us the problems you have detected. In one breath, they say, we have already corrected the problems you are talking about. Then we say, okay, no problem. Good news. You've corrected it, so the matter should end. Give us the corrected version of the register. They say, we can't give you. Doctor, you.
Maybe they are not done.
You are not done. So it means that you are not done correcting.
Yes.
Okay, good. Then we say that, okay, since you are not done and since we have detected more, let all the political, let's demystify the animal called forensic audit. Okay, so that people know what we are talking about. Let all the political parties select their IT experts to sit with the EC's IT consultants, who we know to be MPP foot soldiers. No doubt about that. But we are ready to work with them. Because the IT firm working with the EC now is Axon. And the rep of Axon working with the EC is Dr. Fori. Dr. Fori is a former Tescom patron. He's working with the Akwache. Akwache is the son of Amfo Kwache, Kufuado's former PA. We know who these people are. But we know Apia J is also working with them, the former MPP communicator who was appointed commissioner. We know. But no problem. The truth is one. We are ready to work with them. All political parties bring your IT experts, sit with the EC's IT consultants. Through the help of UNDP, we can procure the services of a reputable audit firm to join the political parties' IT experts and the EC's IT consultants to probe the IT systems, the entries, the time for the entries, what was done when those entries happened, were the entries authorized or not, so that we know what happened and how these problems happened. The EC says no. Then, Doc, aside this, is the problem of the bloated transfer register. Where, you see, during the transfer, the EC did not want to allow for polling agents. Do you remember? They said they would never allow polling agents to monitor because the law is silent on it. And we told them that our election is not only governed by law, but by conventions. And the convention is that political party agents always observe the process. So we insisted. It got to a stage, it even turned out, there were violent clashes because we insisted that our agents should go. Look, because our agents were there, we had daily slips of the total number of transfers that every district office of the EC did. So at the end of the process, we aggregated, and so we have our figure. The EC brings us a transfer register, and instead of a little over 300,000, we are seeing over 500,000 names. Meaning that the transfer register is bloated by 243,000. We asked them, and they say, oh, we made a mistake. We added 2020 transfers to 2024 transfer register. I said, okay, if you have admitted the error, let's do the audit. Let's know the full extent. Because this is what, within time constraints, we have discovered. We need to know the full scale of the problem. Look, you understand? And you can only, on X, ascertain the full scale through an audit, so that we clear the problem once and for all. Because it is because of your argument that the previous register was bloated. That is why you spend millions on a new register. So why bloat it again? And why don't you want that register clean through a transparent process? Doc, then we saw another 3,957 names deleted from the register. These are voters with voter ID cards. They registered in 2020. Their names have been put on the exceptions list. They have been deleted. We asked the EC. The EC says, oh, we are sorry. These people, we transferred them illegally. And in our attempt to restore them, we deleted their names. No, can you believe it? Just like the Pusiga ones, okay, that they claim they have corrected. We now find out that they have been deleted. And we ask them and say, oh, it was a mistake. When we were not supposed to transfer them. We transferred them wrongfully. When we're bringing them back, we mistakenly deleted them. So what about if the NDC had not found out? And bear in mind that these numbers are not exhaustive because we've had to unearth this within very limited time. And if we conduct a full-scale investigation, we will see far more. Then you have people, 15,000 people whose names are in the transfer list. You check the transfer list and there is no transfer path. In other words, you don't know where they are being transferred from to where. You get my point? So their names are just there. So where was Okoboy before he came to Lejokuku LA Primary. It is not indicated. Somebody just sat in the office and did the illegal transfers, just like Pusiga, because there was no liveliness text. Then there are people whose names are in the transfer list, but their names are not in the absentee voters list. So you can't even track where they are coming from. Bibia nyama, bibia basa. And they themselves have acknowledged all. But they still don't want to open up. That is what we don't understand, and we will never accept. Doc, your cameramen here at Metro TV, when they are going to cover program, do they go with guns?
No.
So if the NDC uncovers something, and we write to the EC that this is what we have uncovered, give us audience, we want to come and present to you. But because of the considerable public interest nature of the matter, allow the media, the fourth estate of the realm, the media who are your friends, to sit in the meeting and cover the program live. They say, lie. Metro TV, we don't want your cameraman. Joy News, we don't want any cameraman there. Why? Clearly these guys have skeletons in their cupboard. They know the crime they have committed. They know the shady things they have done to the register. And that is why they don't want sunlight. That is why they don't want to open it up for an audit. But we are determined to rally all progressive forces and all voices of conscience to join this call for an investigation into the register